Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Today, before we go on to the meditation, I would like to sort of approach the meditation today in a different manner and to have the discussion, or rather, bit of a talk before, as opposed to our usual format where we have the meditation first. When we see ourselves in a position of the present, we often see ourselves portraying different roles. This could be being a mother, or being a wife, a husband, or a partner. This could be in professional capacities. This could be in terms of family relationships with relatives. This could be with friends and people who are known. This could be with strangers. This could also be with inanimate objects as well. This could be the things that we want, the things that drives us. This could be in persistence of whatever goals or objectives in the physical realm, owing to physicality, where we see ourselves, the environments that we see ourselves, the environments that we want to reach, all of this. So, animate and inanimate. The way that we are in the present is what we continuously, as a part and parcel of our practice, we try to bring in the essence of Dhamma into this present moment. In order to do so, if we are following a meditational approach, an approach such as, let us say, Samatha Bhavana, which focuses on concentration, that Samatha Bhavana would be energizing the attention that we have towards the object. The attention that we have towards the object. If we are approaching it from a Vipassana perspective, a Vipassana-based approach, then the faculty that we would try to face the present which would be prajna, to discern. But we know that in both of these cases, whether it be the indriya of samadhi, concentration, or the indriya of prajna, both of them are indriyas. Because of the fact that they are faculties, indriyas, it is these faculties that are like the limbs, the hands and legs of the spiritual world, of the spiritual journey, the spiritual world, the body in the spiritual world that we go on our spiritual journey with. So they are codependent upon one another. Codependent upon one another. This codependency is visible to a person who has in his senses, mind and body, calmed and relaxed into the present. Ekian, if I'm to use the Sinhalese word, nivima, to nivenna, to calm oneself, calming the senses, calming the pursuit of that which arises within the six sense bases, not only the five physical bases, the eye, the ear, the nose, the tongue, the body, but also the mind base. But also the mind base. This the Buddha explains in saying, just as one goes to a tree and then to get to the core of the tree, the Sila Samadhi Prajna process or focus, the Sila part begins in the determinations that we make onto ourselves. The Samadhi is the focus that we give onto the path that we choose to walk, the goals, and how these goals are molded. Hmm? Then the Prajna part is the discernment. For one to reach Prajna, the Sankharas, the formations that arise opposing Sila and Samadhi have to dissipate. Meaning, if there is some sort of Sankhara proliferating within the Sila, then it is difficult to bring the mind into a state of focus. If the mind is distracted and lacks focus, then it is difficult to have the patience, the forbearance, to have the discernment of mind where you are able to understand, to be patient. It is as if, for example, when you see a star with the eye, you're not quite sure what this might be, whether it might be a star or a planet. Hmm? But when you look closer onto it, then you see the attributes of what it is. However, if we make judgment and conclusion before we had the patience to investigate or to discern further, then we have not been able to cultivate that fullest vision. In the same manner, within this present moment, whatever consciousness that arises, because of the Abhidhamma that we have learned, this is even more explained to depth, where it shows us the exact two parts that we must see, two or three. If it is a Lobha Mula Chitta, the first root that you see is the Lobha, isn't it? The fact that you catch on to the fact that it is a Lobha Chitta because you see the fact that there is Lobha, there is grasping, wanting. That is the attribute of Lobha. When the mind is no more surprised, it's not any longer surprised about the arising of Lobha. Why? We understand that this is such sankhara of these inanimate beings, Nama and Rupa. The mind operates on three roots again: Lobha, dosa, moha, lobha, dosa, moha. Greed, hatred, delusion, non-greed, non-hatred, non-delusion. If it is to be human, if it is to live, it is to be conditioned by these six roots. Hence, when the sankharas proliferating through that experience now dissipates, there is calm, or nivima. Hence, you are able to focus on balancing the discernment, just as a person who is looking at that planet through that telescope is adjusting the focus to gain clearer sight. Just so, the only thing that kept us from adjusting that lens may be the lack of patience, the quickness in judgment. When we realize that these two components arise in the mind when an object or when the subject arises, in seeing this, in knowing and now seeing, one is able to let go, or rather let allow it to cease without a arising. Why? The lens is now better focused. The balancing of discernment. Just so, let us say, if a person is to go about their day, let us say, this person goes about their day. hmm, You can have a full day. You can have a full day of work, errands, house cleaning, all of these things, which could make our days full. You can have engagement. You can have a lot of things that you've got done through the day. Now, something that I have noticed in myself is when the day is, let us say, when there is yonso mansikara, right attention, which is the arising of the kusala chitta, which is, in fact, then the kusala chitta is through which we clean, we do the errands, we perform tasks, all of that. Then the tiredness that you feel is, you might be tired, but it is different. You're not mentally and physically drained and tired in such a manner. However, when we do a task or we complete many tasks through the day, and if we see back how we approach these tasks in the present, there you will see, is this a kusala or is this an akusala? A kusala, there can also be a kusala in the way you speak to yourself. We always think kusala the way that we do things for others, but remember, to the mind, the body is external. To the body, the mind is external, isn't it? If you take it as independent phenomena, then to the mind, the body is external. Hence, the way that we care for ourselves, speak to ourselves in our minds, in the way we debate issues, in the way that we keep our standing, in the way that we let go of things. The kindness and compassion that is radiating there energizes you. Whilst with a lack of kindness and compassion towards yourself or the way that you're approaching the objects that are hitting at the bases, when it is negative, when there is ayoniso mansikara, then it drains you. In the problems that we see in our life, every problem, when it is, I believe that it is a matter of that balancing of the telescope. Where are we seeing a problem or are we seeing something as a problem? Would the balancing of that lens allow us to see deeper, to see it in a different manner, where it is no longer a problem? It is no longer a problem because you're not trying to solve a great, overwhelming issue which has to be solved with so many people, let us say. Sometimes when you have to deal with issues, you have to contact this person and that person. You have to get a whole team of people's opinions before you decide and decide on moving forward. But because you're putting all of that into this very present moment right now, you're bringing all of that stress in. Now you feel an overwhelming burden. Now, what is the reality of it? We don't realize that this burden is because I am not being kind to myself in the way that I'm approaching this. I'm putting a great big weight on a table that is not supposed to hold that much weight. Hmm? On a chair. I'm putting a great amount of weight on a chair that I'm not supposed to be putting on that chair. So it stresses it out. The discernment, the indriya, they're working in your present daily, very daily life. Amidst those problems, in every present moment, would bring you to the awareness of the fact that when discernment is present, everyone, there are no problems. There are no problems where your mind has to be absolutely burdened with it. Why? Because we see that it is like a cloud, like a ghost, a formation in Pali we call it. Even for meditators, a problem as great as, let us say, drowsiness. When you see the attachment that goes into the mental state pronouncing you as drowsy, ceases and does not arise again because of the awareness that there exists there, the lethargy, the drowsiness, the sleepiness disappears. Disappears. In this present moment, that is how we must always try to adjust our indriyas. In this present moment, the indriyas have to flow within a certain nature of Dhamma, where within this nature, if we are talking about Vipassana meditators, if we are talking about people who have Nibbana as a goal, then in aid of that Nibbana, the calmness that supports that arising has to be present. That calmness does not arise in a mind where the mind is grasping to keep things as they are, to keep things as they are seen now. Meaning, if you have a good experience at the moment, we want to proliferate that experience. If you're having a bad experience in the moment, by nature of bad, let us say negative, then it can be negative where you want to inflict pain or get away from it. It could also be with view where you want to hold on to the view of the circumstance being negative. Let us say in an occasion where we believe that a person was rude. The view, the tanha and the ditti that is present there clings on to the idea that we have now created. That this person, let us say, or this circumstance is bad, very negative. As long as that view persists in mind, the mind is not at peace. We know this very well, isn't it? The mind is not at peace. When the mind is not at peace, we are unable to focus on what is truly here. We lose sight. We lose sight of the path. That is the moment that we lose control. That is the moment that we lose control. In believing that this circumstance that I'm seeing with this mundane vision is absolute, is a mistake that we are making through how we perceive the views that arise, creating the world that we are. So when we are able to let go, nivenna, to calm, to bring ourselves into a position as we go into our meditation, letting go of the entirety of the world. And usually, even with our Dhamma, even with our Dhamma, the Dhamma is foremost. What does it mean that the Dhamma is foremost? That is what we also say when we say Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. That is also what we mean when we say Buddhang Saranang Gacchami. I go for refuge in the Buddha, not once, twice, but thrice. That is in saying Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. That is in saying in practice. This moment, nothing becomes more important than the pursuit of the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, the object of Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. There, Just like, for example, let us say, you may go to, let us say, when you had to take your child and go to school, for parent teachers, and you're talking with the teachers, or some other instance, talking with the teachers, and you're trying to talk in a way that you're trying to understand your child maybe and what's going on, but the focus is on the child, isn't it? Right? The focus is on the child there. The focus now, Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, how does that focus then change? How does Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato or Buddhan Saranang Gacchami in that instant change? What do you think? How would that mentality of the parent dealing with that situation, the focus being on the child, 100%, not only focus, the object with Lobha. With Lobha. And we know that as well. With Lobha. You want to know how is he doing? Is he doing well? What is he doing? Right? With Lobha in that moment. Now, in the world, and being an attentive parent is a good thing, isn't it? It's not seen as a bad thing. And it's not seen as a bad thing. In the Dhamma, how does that influence the practitioner? Is my question to you. Any idea?
Bhante, I'm just thinking, Bhante, that in the world you are a mother or a father or a husband, wife, whatever. So you start with that assumption because that's what you have learned. So there is you and then there are all the others. But if you are practicing, you realize actually we have been born because our goal had been Nibbana. So this group of people have been practicing and trying to get up. And we are in this class. And so we have come, and yes, we can be mothers, brothers, but we have had several mothers, several brothers, several.
Let's take to the example there.
So the
Not
children,
several.
the child, yes, the
Uh,
child. So you think that the
how
focus is the
does
child.
the Buddhan
Yeah.
Saranang Gacchami or going for refuge, what does this mean in this interaction?
So in the interaction with the child, you are going taking refuge with the Buddha and the Dhamma. And the Dhamma says everything is Hetupala and everything rises and ceases. So the child also, in the Sammuti word, you see as your child. So that's but on the other hand, if you say you have come and yes, it's your child, but everything arises and you have had several children and you have come to get release to the goal is Nibbana. So craving, avijja and kamma are the things that get together. So therefore that avijja we have to let go of and think this is my child, but to see the purpose of it, that is a consciousness that is going, from Chutisita Patisandin, going from one moment to the
That's
other.
all right. That's all right. So your thing is we must let go of the idea that this is my child.
Let go of the idea that the goal is what derives it. The goal is that it is to get release and nibbana. In that goal,
Okay.
the Dhamma is telling that there's nothing called me and mine. So therefore, when you think of the not the conventional, but when you think of the ultimate reality, this is just another being who has come, happened to be like this. So therefore, if you are focused on the Buddha and the Buddha's teaching and the Dhamma, then you would realize that for that goal of Nibbana that you're here, that this is giving up this child, we are seeing it in Samyuti, the attachment, my child, and all those things are not there in the pure Dhamma, so that's
So
what we
that's
have
an
to get
idea.
balanced.
Okay, that's an idea. Sujata, would you like to say something?
No, Bhante, I was thinking you asked, what is it all about? It's Shraddha, I thought. Because of Shraddha, we go into the details because we know we are the refuge of Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. With that, my mission will be right, sort of feeling.
Absolutely. And I think this question goes to the absolute foundation of where we start, isn't it? From taking refuge. So what does it mean in the instance of that parent-teachers meeting? What does it mean to be
Yeah.
having gone for refuge at that moment? Hmm?
Yeah, because don't we feel that we are doing the right thing by the child as a mother or whoever, and that we will be guided by the Dhamma,
Mm-hmm.
something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not
Okay.
very
A wish.
positive of that.
It's a sort of a wish, isn't it?
Uh, uh, uh.
It is a sort of wish, Sujata.
Is it?
I'm asking you about,
Yeah,
so you are seeing it as a type of wish. We go for refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. So we may be guided by the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha.
yeah.
A type of wish, I feel like.
Yeah.
Is it a
No,
wish?
I don't know, but
An
what is it?
expectation?
Obey? Something. Oh,
A wish in a sense of, okay, we hope for something to happen. We hope.
yeah.
We
I
hope because I live in Dhamma, I hope I have the blessings of the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha.
Mhm.
Something like that, I hope. But I was just trying to gauge. Anything else?
Yeah.
Anything else? Dhamsiri?
Bante,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think when you say Buddhan Saranam Gacchami, you do not expect anything.
Mm.
You just believe in your path given by Buddha, and you have to follow that path. And I don't think it's wise to expect any unusual help or some favoritism or anything.
Yes, of course.
That's the main. So it's
It makes it impure, isn't it?
makes
But
it
I
pure.
think
Yeah.
Sujata was referring to a Shraddha-based hope,
Yeah.
a Shraddha-based wish where she believes in the fact, okay, මේම ජීවත් වෙනවා නම් අපිට මේකේ ආරක්ෂාව තියෙනවා. කියන
Yes.
විශ්වාසය ශ්‍රද්ධාවේ පැත්ත කියලා මට තේරුණේ. I thought.
Yeah, that's right, Bante. I always see that
නේද?
feeling in you.
Oh, that feeling, that sense of trust. I've thought that wish was coming from a sense of Shraddha. Okay, so that is one. They'll give us one. Anoma, yes.
Bante, to Shraddha, although we don't expect anything, for me, I feel some security, like kind of thing. I'm kind of secured, like thing. So that is the feeling that I don't expect it, but I get it.
Now let's come to the example. Everyone's trying to go away from the example. Now, Anuma, you have been at parent-teachers meetings. Parent-teachers, ගිහිල්ලා තියෙනව නේද?
Oh, yeah.
Huh?
I have been.
We have been, Bante.
Now, ඒ වගේ අවස්ථාවක හරි හිතන්න බුද්ධං සරණං ගච්ඡාමි. දැන් මේ බුද්ධං සරණං ගච්ඡාමි, if you are saying it genuinely, authentically, and if you are truly with it, ඒ වගේ අවස්ථාවක at that moment, how would Anoma be influenced by Buddhan Saranam Gacchami dealing? And let us say it's not a very smooth, whatever, even if it is a smooth or a rough. එතන Buddhan Saranam Gacchami කොහොමද එතන බලපාන්නේ? What does
Bante, it's a collective wish එකක් හැටියට නේද Bante? We are releasing some energy.
Okay. Energy how?
Sorry, I can get
Energy how?
energy. Oh. I think the words, I mean, the Shraddha, of course, you have to have Shraddha. And then with Shraddha, if you have Shraddha, I think every word that been preached by Buddha, there is Shraddha. And if we have trust on that, then I think there's some kind of energy is being developed there.
Yes.
And we are releasing that energy to the whole.
We have Abhidhamma, right? we can't get away with just saying energy. Hari. Now, if you're saying energy, see, now this discussion and the way that we are approaching it is also an example of Indriya, Metana. The discernment factor of that moment, which is now Buddhan Sannam Gacchami, Dhamman Sannam Gacchami, Sangham Sannam. I go for refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. Okay? We go for refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha for the Buddha and the Dhamma. Sorry, Buddha and the Sangha. The Dhamma is a focal point. It is through the Dhamma that we know the Buddha and the Sangha.
Yeah.
Agreed?
Yes.
Can we say anything else that anyone may want to add to that? It is because of the Dhamma that we go for now. Even at the time of the Buddha, people saw the Buddha. The Dhamma pervaded through the physical living body, where the body and the way that the body was disposed with was with Dhamma. People found the features and the attributes of the Buddha calming, isn't it? They say that when people, even by simply looking, seeing, the calmness of the being calms the mind of the people who see the Buddha, hear the Buddha. Then the Buddha's Dhamma, that the Dhamma is a spoken Dhamma. The other Dhamma that people saw and venerated was a Dhamma within, which was pervading through his physical body. That was the Dhamma that he was with. That was pervading through. In all senses, what we see is the Dhamma. The Dhamma of that ingredients all of this. That Dhamma is what we truly, in Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, we have the teacher, the doctrine, and the community of practitioners all illuminating the same Dhamma. Through this Dhamma, we achieve calm. Through this Dhamma, we achieve the goal of Nirvana. For a person who goes for refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha, at every instance of life, that Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha has to be contemplated or reflected upon. That is the energy, the connection, the bond that we create with the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha, with the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. When we act righteously, we find the strength of the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha, supporting that, not letting ego or unnecessary kileshas to arise. That is the true going for refuge. Because remember, what kind of teacher is the Buddha? The Buddha is a teacher. When people came with flowers and garlands and silks on top of elephants, and on top of elephants, all gifts, and everyone draped with the horns and celebrating the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha from far away, Beragaga, with drums and all of that. What did Buddha tell to Ananda? Send them away. That is the type of Buddha, that is the type of teacher that the Buddha was. His importance was not given to the physical. The importance was given to what was Nibbana. Nibbana. When don't you think a person who is with that sort of mind and strength, of course, very difficult, however, with that sense of energy, what would such a person's approach be to the PTA meeting or any other meeting? In that person, the goal would always be not the creation of sankhara, but the dissipation letting unnecessary sanskaras cease, achieving a state of peace, achieving a state of where the mind is not deluded, the mind is not caught up, the mind achieves peace through the mere letting go of encumbrances. Not with sociopathic, emotional, manipulative tendencies. No, none of that. With the kusala, chitta, alobha, adosa, amoha. In this manner, the mother is not approaching the child's issues or whatever that the mother hears through the scope of law, but to think, why is my son not doing what I'm telling him to do? Or why isn't my son the standards that I want them to be? But we understand. We try to see what's going on. We see beyond the words. We discern. That is what focus gives you. Hence, the Buddha says, don't go into intoxication. Don't go into anything that alters your mind. Why? Because that moment you can't see, you can't discern. And a person who starts falling in love with delusion, he pulls himself away from peace. Why? Because all of these delusions keeps him up in the night. Wandering, thinking, approaching relationships in the world in a way that is tainted by the delusions that are constructed in the mind. Now not only affecting himself, but going on to affect other people. When we understand how sankharas work within beings, within people, who we are, the fact that this is a nama and rupa, that upon death that this body will be abandoned and we do move on, and even regardless of the rebirth element, in this very moment we arise and cease, and the mind creates the world. The mind creates the world that we see, the world that we find comfort in. The mind also creates the world that is a living hell. The mind too creates a world where you are anxious. The mind too creates a world where we do not feel welcome, we feel welcome or unwelcome. The mind.
Excuse me, Bhante. Does it mean that it's an illusion?
It is an illusion.
Yeah.
It is an illusion. It is an illusion based upon, now, imagine, Anoma, the Buddha himself says, when you have people who do not like you, there is a sutra. The Buddha says, treat them well, say something nice to them, give them a compliment. The Buddha says, give them gifts. Because everyone loves receiving gifts.
As in surrender them.
Give them gifts. Tagi bogadenna kiyana. The fact of, now, we remember, let us connect this to what we are learning in Vanchaka Dhamma. Matakunanda. Giving them gifts to get their sort of good favor is a Vanchaka Dhamma. Okay, so I would have been happy if someone cross-questioned me there. Is a Vanchaka Dhamma. So
how can it be Vanchaka Dhamma?
tell me the answer to that, please. You tell me the answer. How, what is then the mentality, or what is the Buddha preaching in the sutra when he says give them gifts? What is the Buddha saying? What is the Buddha saying when he says give them a compliment?
They become calm, no? Calm.
Maitreya.
Maitreya for what?
For the person. Because you won't have the anger or anything, though that person doesn't like you or has said rude things to you, but you are not affected.
To pacify the person.
You will be with full of compassion and loving kindness to him, isn't it? That's what you should do.
I think loving kindness is a wonderful guide to that moment. I think loving kindness is a wonderful guide. Because remember, Sujata, even at times when we approach circumstances just to pacify people, to pacify people, we also find that that's could also come around. Here, not the pacifying, right? Not the pacifying, but approaching the situation with the balance of mind, right? To do what is necessary. To achieve what is then the question. Okay, I will do, but to achieve what? To achieve a state where parties involved come to peace. Do you understand? Because remember, if I am here and because of me being here, your minds are proliferating. Do you understand? Proliferating with greater, grosser, uglier sankharas, then මෙතන වැඩක් තියනවද මෙතන? But we respect, or this is a sacred gathering because of the fact මේකට ඇවිල්ලා අපි හිත නිවා ගන්නවා. Coming to this gathering, we calm our minds.
Yes, right.
We calm our minds. When sankharas are not proliferating, people are in a state of calm. People can go to sleep calmly. They will be sleeping without bad dreams. They will wake up peacefully. When we say achieving, what is attaining? Now this, a arahat, a great arahat might sort of will definitely give an even depthful answer. But in the sense of the Satipatthana and all that we know in the Dhamma, leading to Nirodha, Shunyata, Viraga, Vimokha, Asavakshaya, Nibbana, in that path, listen to the echoes of those words. Me sankhara nivimak meka. This is a quieting of sankhara. A quieting, not through weakness, but through the balancing of the indriyas, the bodhangas when necessary. The balancing of the Eightfold Path, enabling us to reach that state of calm, or be within that state of calm rather, where we have no conditions within us to proliferate. So if that is our goal, everyone, if that is the element or the essence of the Buddha Dhamma and the Sangha that we have found ourselves connected to, and if that is our aspiration, that wholesome aspiration for ourselves, the metta in that element is also being able to have the same kindness that you're having to yourself, to other people, animate, inanimate.
What's inanimate in this sense, Bhante? I was wanting to ask you.
What's inanimate in this sense, Sujata, yes, is when we, let us say, we are running behind, or we are in pursuit of a certain goal, buying of a house, buying of a car, buying of a piece of land, or achieving OBEs or MBE or a knighthood or something of that sort. For some people, it can be the pursuit of trying to get away, migrate to somewhere else. Solving an issue, having better people around you. All of these things, these circumstances, things, titles, accolades, trophies.
Yeah.
All these things in our lives that we run behind. Even being kind to yourself in regard to those things. Because whilst we can have, we always talk about things, the relationships we have in terms of the relationships that we have with living people. But what about the relationships we have to things? Isn't that also something of importance in our lives? Because that is what we've been building.
Mm.
Isn't it? That is what you've been building. Things. Animate loba arises towards people, animate objects, and inanimate objects.
Oh, yes, yes. If you're honored by somebody, you feel elated, you feel you're high up, something like that. Yeah.
And even the loba that we have for circumstances. When
Yes.
we want to be seen with certain people, when we do not want to be seen with other people. Circumstances. Right? Now, as a Buddhist monk, and when people want to take photos with you, sometimes we have to be careful on who we take photos with.
Yeah, that's right.
Who we take photos with and where those photos will circulate. Because of that, now let us say, even that, even the worry about that, බලන්න ඒක සංකාරයක් නේ. ඒක සංකාරයක්. ඒකත් බන්ධනයක්. Isn't it? ඒක සංකාරයක්. Then, if we do not realize that too is a formation, that too is a shackle, a chain, a bond. We are still being conditioned strongly by the nuances of the world. Which makes it increasingly difficult in certain, let us say, environments to pursue the Dhamma also. Meaning, where certain parts of the Dhamma, for example, achieving coming into a state of equanimity, becomes increasingly difficult. Becomes increasingly difficult because we know if you are a person, a public figure, you have to be careful about who you are seen with.
Yes.
But that is a part of that story. Part of that story. The only foundation that we give to the practitioner is a foundation of what is the place that, how do we practice, and what is the goal. The practice should connect you to the goal. The practice should connect you to the goal. If it connects you to anything else apart from the goal, then whatever reason that you're getting these things that you're getting in your life, you're associating with them. You've lost the plot.
Yeah.
When you're getting these things, that is a sign. Focus on the goal. Focus on the goal. Eye on the ball. Nibbana, Nibbana, Nibbana. Every moment, Nibbana. Now, a beautiful experience that I have living with monks in the forest is the monks, when we do meet for dana, when all the monks come together, this time is a beautiful time because it is a time of sharing, it is a time of sort of speaking with your other Kalyan Mitras, your elders. It is a time that is of importance in all monasteries, the time of dana. Even if you're staying in an austeric place, austeric monastery like Nimalava in the Yala desert, even at a moment that dana moment is the main occasion that you mix and meet the Sangha. During this moment, during this time, all the monks are often seeking opportunities to have let us say, a Dhamma discussion or to meet another monk on top of a mountain or a stone or a hill or whatnot throughout the monastery. to discuss a Dhamma or to get some Kammatthana or to ask about a certain sutra or discussing a piece of Dhamma that they didn't understand or some sort of Dhammic exchange. Why? Because our lives were all about the Dhamma. Right? Now this becomes now, one could say that this is because of course, the environment that we are in, right? Which is, of course, it does help the environment. However, even in these environments, it is the consciousness, the connection that each monk has to the Dhamma, to the Nirvana, getting away from dukkha, that is the true fuel of this process. Because you could be in temples or monasteries where there is no practice, where there is no linkage of Dhamma or no sight of Dhamma as well. No sight of Dhamma as well. No connection to Nibbana. Though in those places it is lost. Absolutely lost. Everyone is going their own ways. It's lost. When you are with a Sangha that is resolute together in terms of the type of goal that we are in pursuit of, everything that happens is resolvable. We move forward. We don't stay in the same place. We continue to try to progress as much as we possibly can because everyone is focused. Because everyone in their own way is connected to that Dhamma. Not the Dhamma as a thing, but connected to that state of Dhamma, the state of Dhamma. Dhamma not as in the Satipatthana Sutta, but the state that Dhamma brings, which is the calmness, the lack of the getting away from the hindrances, the lack of hindrances, the state of the mind when we are in this place of bodhi, in this place of calm as a practitioner. You too, in whatever circumstances that life may have taken you to or brought you to, you are also with the Dhamma and it's drumming inside of you. And as you practice, you must allow this to echo through. Because if the Dhamma does not echo through, you're not experiencing the full bliss of it. Whilst you might be taken aback by the ghosts of all these problems around you, all of those issues are illusions of issues. When the mind is in a state of calm and bliss and discernment, all those issues, the pain, the burden of those issues just dissipates. Allow it to dissipate. And through that, your discernment increases. As we observe, we do not become heartless. Actually, quite the opposite. We become far more full of heart and we connect with things on a real level. And it is so easy for us to then connect with people. It becomes so easy for us to connect with people because you're not connecting on pomp and glory and all the other tamashas and the facades. You're not connecting on those things. We are not communicating on that. We are communicating on something deeper, which could go into those things. But the essence is far more deeper. The vibration is far more deeper. The bond that arises there is far more powerful than a shackle or a chain or a handcuff or any other type of binding. Remember, as we spoke last week, speaking on the relationships that the Bodhisattva developed through his lifetime, we see that those bonds are strong, even more stronger than those other bonds that people just arise and seize, even more stronger. But there is no attachment, but dutifulness, connectedness, vision, trust, wholesome qualities. Wholesome qualities. When we have people surrounding us with those wholesome qualities in that spirit, everyone flourishes, not one person. Everyone flourishes. Everyone flourishes. And as much as we are able to trust that, that trust will seep and drip over into this moment of calm. That trust that come what may, be it pain of the limb, restlessness of the mind, distractions in thought, come what may, drowsiness, sluggishness, sloth and torpor, greed, anger, jealousy, come what may, Buddhang sarnang gacchami, Dhamman sarnang gacchami, Sangham sarnang gacchami. What is the goal? Nibbana. And in, having that great light, Nibbana, all other lights, all other twinkles and dazzles are surpassed. They're nothing. Hence, any issue that comes, even with a person who is pointing a gun at you, even at such a moment when a person is pointing a gun at you or is threatening you, even at this moment, the strong faith in people's minds to the practice allows them to not retaliate with aggression, but be present with metta. To be present with metta, to do what is necessary. There are people who may disarm a person, completely trying to save this person from making a mistake. Just because you have metta doesn't mean that you need to be a vegetable or a potato. You might have capacities, you might not. But whatever that is, at that moment, that metta comes through, the practice comes through. Because why? Nothing is more important than that goal, Nibbana. Because when you lose sight of that goal, what happens? We go into the negative. We lose track of the meditation object. The hindrance wins. The discernment does not arise. Saying so, everyone, let us now sit for our meditation practice with this essence, motivating and inspiring us in the practice. Let us sit for meditation. Sitting comfortably. Coming into a comfortable position, posture. Your back straight and upright, but not rigid. Relaxing into the moment. Being present with the body, the senses, guiding your attention towards the breath, calming the senses, the door, the bases. May all, apart from the breath, come to see as we give our fullest attention, undivided attention, guiding the mind towards the breath, towards a state of balance, calm, observing the rise and the fall of the breath, the in-breath, the out-breath. In-breath, out-breath. In breath, out breath. Observe. Observe. May the mind and body come into a state of peace and tranquility as we guide our attention away from the external world to the internal. With compassion towards oneself, giving this time to observe, to heal, to let go of anger, of pain, of all suffering, and to calm one's senses, using the breath as an anchor, observing moment to moment, letting go of the future and the past, all views, all opinions, wishes. Let us connect with the deepest of all truths in this moment. Anicca, dukkha, anatta. Observe, mind in the posture, and observe. Observe. Observing the arising and ceasing of the breath. May all sankhara, apart from this observation, We acknowledge and let go now, bringing the mind to be aware. The rising and ceasing every moment of the breath. Observe, observe. in 3 when necessary. Continue to observe. Observe. Gently guiding your attention to now recollect the aspects of the meditation practice, to review, to contemplate, learn from this experience. About the state of the mind and body, the hindrances, the factors of enlightenment, indriya, to see as it is, observe, observe. Gently, whilst acknowledging all that is, let us take a moment to show, to radiate, to share vibrations of loving kindness, energizing and empowering this mind and body and all being in this cycle of rebirth and death, guiding one's attention to this body, from the legs, feet, to the topmost part of the head, with the lungs, the hand, the abdomen, with all the organs in this body, to each and every fiber of this physical body, to the whole biome present here. May all beings be well and happy. May all beings be well and happy. May all beings be well and happy. From this mind and body, with all the people all across Sansar, near and far, known and unknown. May all beings find peace, tranquility. May they be of ease. May whatever pain that is being experienced come to subside. May all beings be well and happy. With every breath that I breathe, may all beings be well and happy. With every step that I take, may all beings be well and happy. With every morsel of food that I eat, may all beings be well and happy. With every sound that I speak, may all beings be well and happy. Let us radiate loving kindness to the deities and gods above, the Brahman, all beings in the higher realm. May all these beings be well and happy. May they be peaceful. May they be well. May their wisdom guide them towards enlightenment. May all beings be well and happy. Let us now radiate loving kindness towards all the animal beings of the lower realm, wandering ghosts and ghouls, beings in torturous environment, enduring the suffering of the lower hell. May they all be well and happy. May they be free of their torment. May they be free of their suffering. May all suffering come to cease. May they all be well and happy. Let us radiate loving kindness towards all the beings entangled in this life. Friends, family, people who may be the nearest and dearest, but may also be the people who hurt us the most. May we radiate loving kindness towards all those who are dear and near. May all qualms of mine come to cease. May all anger, frustration come to cease. May all that is negative come to pass. May they be well and happy in mind and body. May they be healthy. May they be well and happy. Well and happy. Well and happy. Well and happy. Gently guiding one's attention to all those beings who do us harm, who wish us harm, who we may have strong feelings towards. Let us put away all fire, all animosity. Forgive ourselves and forgive all others. Radiating loving kindness, acknowledging the nature of the hindrances in human in this cycle of rebirth and death. May we let go of all qua. May all beings be well and happy, well and happy, well and happy. Well and happy, guiding your attention towards the body and the mind. Being aware with gratitude. Radiating loving kindness to ease the body and mind, to soothe the body and mind, to heal the body and mind. Gently, gently, gently. May this mind and body be well and happy. Be free of all negativity. With every moment, may the Dhamma shine brighter within this mind and body. May we feel at ease. May we feel at peace. May we feel at home with the present. Gently. When you are ready, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So now is the opportunity for you to address any questions that may have arisen regarding your practice. About your experience, Anuma, if you could maybe share your experiences with us and any insights that you might have had over the practice. Maybe you could start.
Yeah. Thank you, Bhante. I think today I think it was altogether different approach we took, and the discussion we had helped, I think, Bhante, to focus on the object, which is very helpful to me. And yes, and I was able to, because you were saying that our ultimate object should be Nibbana, yeah? And that helped to focus on my breath, and then, letting go of the breath, and then coming into that moment of, nothingness. So that was the experience. And the metta meditation, the final one, what we ended with, I think irradiating metta towards everybody at the end. Normally I do it before practicing, before I start meditation. I mean, the other days I start with metta meditation. I do it for about 10 minutes and then go into the other vipassana or what it is. But now, today this was the other way, and I think that was a good ending. And as you said, settling your mind and sharing that what you the meditation, but the practice, the outcome of the practice. I think that was
so what
good.
Differences would you have seen, Anuma? Did you see how the patience, the aspect of patience?
Yes, Bhante. I did see sometimes that patience, when that word itself, troubles us a lot. Then there are days, times that
this, I think the patience, it helped me a lot. Even with the meditation, sometimes you can't go reach the object, or sometimes you struggle. There are days that you struggle, but I think with the discussion today we had, I think the patience is very important, and we can develop it, as you said, with the example that you gave at the beginning of the discussion,
The patience, now in Pali, the word patience, if we think what is patience also, the Pali word patience is Shanti. Shanti Parami, the perfection of patience. But what is Shanti Parami in an Abhidhamma sense? What do you think? Because I think that is important to maybe understand the difference, isn't it? Because we remain patient with a lot of things in life. We remain patient in waiting for things. ඒක ධර්මතාවයකට ගලපන්න, to connect it to a Dhamma, we have to understand, okay, what is patience? So what is patience in a Paramartha sense? What do you think it is? Do we have maybe a question we could ask is patience chitta or chetasika?
Both, isn't it, Bhante?
Okay, if it is both.
Because chitta appears with chetasika, isn't it, Bhante?
Okay, so being patient comes through a chitta. What can that chitta be? Being patient.
කුසලනේ කුසල චිත්තයක් නෙවෙන්න ඕනේ මන්ත.
Okay. So then kusala chitta. So the others can also participate.
Please, yes.
I would say non-violence. Non-violence.
Patience, non-violence, kusala chitta. Okay, being patient. අනිත් පැත්තෙන් වංචක වුණොත්? වංචක වුණොත්? If it becomes a masquerading factor, then what is patience?
Patience.
ලෝභ
නිශ්ශබ්දතාවය back. Silence.
Okay.
Noble silence.
Noble silence. Noble silence, again, the intention can be again come. But if we stick into this example, if it is a vanchaka, if you're remaining patient, as we have learned in that other in the Saturday class, if you are showing that you're patient, or if you're remaining patient in order to receive something, a boon, or that would come as a result of being patient, or the fear of losing something if you're not patient. You're being patient only to get something done. But when it is vanchaka, you do not know. Vanchava nimi. Do you understand? Neither. So vanchava, what's the English for vanchava?
Dishonest.
Dishonesty.
Dishonest.
You can be
honest.
Dishonesty, I wonder.
Vanchava.
Bhante, can you say it's a cunning mind? Like
what is kapati කියන එකනේ
cunning? Oh.
Kapati. That's a different word neither.
Oh.
Kapatikama.
ඒකට එහෙම කරන් ඉන්නත් පුළුවන්.
එතන being patient depending upon now. We are obviously trying to be patient on a kusala sense in the meditation.
Yes.
Remember that it can also arise as a vanchaka, where you don't know. Where, let us say, Now, Bante මෙහෙම කිව්වා patience is key කියලා. Bante patience is key කිව්වම දැන් patience වලින් motivate වෙනවානේ. Then patience, if I'm patient, I will get something. දැන් එතන සියුම් වංචාවකුත් එතන තියෙනවා. වංචක එතන. වංචාවක් නෙවෙයි වංචක.
Get something. You're being
You understand?
yeah.
However, now don't throw the baby out with the bath water.
No.
No, no.
Don't throw the baby out with the bath water. That you identify and further cleanse. හරි. දැන් උදාහරණයකට අපි කියමු ඇත්තටම in reality as I reflect now මට හිතෙනවා I think it was vanchaka. Let us say as an example. It was a masquerading factor where I am only doing this for this. Now when you recognize that, just shave off the tanha and re-advert to it as an object.
Bante is not clear, please.
Now, let's take a red ball. There is a red ball and a green ball. Okay, and they're kind of like stuck together. Okay. When you see the red ball and green ball, right, you should be able to see between the red ball and green ball, and that is why there is a red ball and a green ball, isn't it? Because you can tell between them. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay. So when in the same manner, when you will take an object, and now the object is being seen through the lens of, let us say, tanha. I'm being patient, so I can experience a deeper sense of calm. Sium. Okay. Sium. That tanha, now, when you see clear enough, you can see the red ball and the green ball. The tanha, the greed aspect, and the mind, the object. Okay? The object. Tainted. Just shave off, get rid of the taint. How do you get rid of the taint? Don't associate yourself with the taint. If there is a hindrance of kama chanda, for example, you understand that this is kama chanda and isolate it. From, let us say, just as isolate the red ball from the green. Get rid of the green. Just keep the red. You do that by seeing both aspects. In another example, you see the mind and the body. You see the mind and the body. In coming into the mind, you come through the body, and then you isolate the mind from the body. Okay? From the body, another example, from the body you come to the breath. You stick onto the breath, or you grasp onto, you focus upon the breath, and you let go of the rest. Did it not work?
Yes.
Has it worked? When you've come through the body to the breath, and then in focusing upon the breath, you let go of the body.
Yes.
Let go of the body. Now the body goes into non-sensation because your focus is connected to, anchored by the breath. When you see, let us say, an impure object, when you see an impure object, acknowledge the impurity, see the object without the impurity. Where does the impurity come from? The impurity comes through the mind. The way that it adverts to the object. When this is realized, the impurity comes from the mind, the object is the object. The object is the object. The impurities is from the mind. The object is just the object.
Yeah, it doesn't change, Bante. Everything happens in the mind. Yeah.
It happens in the mind. So the judgment, let us say it is a ditti, a view, then we acknowledge the fact that if there is a thought, these are signs that it might be a view. There is no sort of, you realize that there is no, it comes to a point where there is no good thought and bad thought. It's thought. නේද? ඒක අත්විඳලා තියෙනවද දන්නේ නැහැ. Have you experienced that? It comes to a point where it's not good thought or bad thought. Thought is sankhara. Sankhara is a thought. At that moment. So any sankhara, sabbe sankhara anicca, sabbe sankhara dukkha, sabbe sankhara anatma, anatta. ඒ හේතුවෙන් any thought, be kusala or akusala, be a thought that is rendered towards supporting manuvaring. A hammer thought එකක්ම thought එකක්. Again, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. But in this case, the thought rendered here, අපිට මේ thought කියන දේ විතර්ක thought විතරයි මෙව්වා. Do you understand? Only vitarka thought. Vitarka thought is when vitarka is taking other objects apart from, let us say, the breath. The meditation subject is the breath, apart from the breath. Any other vitakka going into any other object arising at any other six sense basis apart from this. Apart from this, just like in another circumstance or instance, whilst we, let us say, washing dishes, wash the dish. Don't think. Wash the dish. There are so many events. The thing is, I think we live in the physical world and then we also live in our minds, isn't it? ඔළුවේ යන යම්කිසි ලෝකයක් තියෙන, and then there can be also this physical, but in the mental you're somewhere. Do you experience that?
Bhante.
Yes.
Today, Bhante, I had difficulty while I was meditating, in the sense I was kind of in concentration, then I was falling off because I have been up in the night because I wasn't feeling too good. So I was breaking this, but I was determined to come and meditate. But I felt that. So that was something that I was really fighting to be in but I was going back and forth like that.
Yeah.
So how can you help with that?
Well, simply just continue.
Yes, that's exactly what I did.
Simply find peace, simply find balance, simply find the ability of letting go of whatever those consciousnesses might be, right? Realizing the realization is the fact that just because, let us say, the doctor says that you're sick, let us say, doesn't mean that your entirety is sick. The body might be going through illness. The mind is not. The mind doesn't need to be at that same level. The body is gross. The mind is far more subtle than the body. But when the mind is operating at the level of grossness of the body, then what happens is the mind is only with those objects that influence the body. Then that kind of rationale is where, of course, you're all about the material, you're all about, just treating the body and about the world. The other perspective or the other sanya that arises where now the sense of or the element of care that arises as a part of your practice. That element of care comes from the fact of we have to, let us say, whatever it takes in terms of achieving Nibbana, peace. And that peace, everyone, might be different, right? The pathway to it might be different, right? There might be, for myself, I might not have strong family obligations as much as you have, for example. Hence, our conditions, the places that we are, the positions of our environments, all of that makes the journey different. However, the goal is the same. The goal is the same. That state is the same for everyone. Because that goal is unconditioned. So conditioning ourselves, as we know, just like even in this class, because we talk about conditions so much, we know, and if we give in positive condition, then it nurtures. Just like, for example, if a lot of people pour into this class, let us say, questions, discussion, vibrant, dynamic. In that sense, do we not feel a great sense of energy after sort of shutting off the screen? Right? If we take away so much, why all these conditions are making it far more dynamic? And everyone takes away a whole lot away from the class. But that also happens when everyone is pouring in. Sometimes the monks are absolutely amazing, but the questions, the right questions to tap into that depth are not coming. We experience that a lot with the great Theras that we've met, and then the question and answer session that the bhikkhus would have. And then the question and answer sessions when we sit in to a question and answer sessions, let us say, with the devotees who come in, it is completely and entirely different. Completely and entirely different. Why? I mean, in a bhikkhu sense, of course, we are far more comfortable. So we feel free to ask questions. And when the questions come, it comes from a place of practice, from a place of knowledge, from a place of foundation. But when we see those questions not coming from the lay people don't take away much. Why? Because these Mahatheras, they are not the ones who are used to preaching. In Burma, the Mahatheras are not used to sort of preaching like that. Moreover, there are discussions. They can avilla prashna ahana. They come and ask questions. Okay, they take the sila, and based on the question, the Sangha, they give the Deshna or discuss the question and answers. So the questions sort of give a whole lot of vibrancy. That is because now those conditions are adding in. මේක 아무තු දෙයක් නෙමෙයි. ඒක අපි ඥාන යන හැම තැනම anywhere we go, it will be the same. It will be the same. As much as people energize it, it will be energized. Energized. That relativity there, the consciousness and the body. The consciousness and the body. Don't let the body surpass the consciousness. It does not. The power of the consciousness is far, far more. So you could be in a body that is dissipating, falling apart, literally. When you experience people with lupus or conditions such as that, and when it gets so bad, isn't it? Now those conditions are, of course, I think it's quite rare now. However, because it can be treated. However, when these things do happen, literally pieces of your body falling apart. Yet, what can we do? What is the refuge that we have? It is a refuge that keeps our mind calm, steady, focused. How can such a focus come when there is a goal?
Yes.
That goal that cannot be surpassed by any other Dhamma is a goal of Nibbana, everyone. I can remember for myself as a child coming to realize this and now working towards having this. I didn't know much. What would a new sort of Catholic boy know about Buddhism and the depth of Buddhism? I didn't, next to nothing. However, this essence of shunyata, meaning this emptiness, what could it be? And then reading up on it and doing all of that, a little bit, that little bit, that goal help me forgive people, help me not get into fights, help me sort of deal with my teachers better, my parents better. That little tiny bit, මොකද now if someone comes and says or pushes you or bullies you, now my goal is not to sort of give this boy a black eye or something like that. My goal is completely different. My goal, I am victorious if I do not have hindrances arising in me while this boy is pushing me. Hmm? And that helped me over so fast. All of that negativity, all of that sort of, when you are a child, you can feel like so many things are going wrong, isn't it? Teenage madness. And all of these things, you feel as if the whole world is doing stuff to you and all of these things. But all of that just dissipated. Just on the ground that I now refuse to fight with everything and just accept. Accept and see things as they really are. Because when you say accepting, it sounds very defeatist, accept accepting, seeing things as they are, seeing the truth of it, helping you to connect and go beyond just these sound waves and interactions based on that, but connect with the truest reality deeper than all of that. Deeper than all of that. The goal, Nibbana. And up until that goal is reached, Ajahn Chah always says, up until that goal is reached, there is no death. There is no death. ඒ කියන්නේ මරණාසන්න අවස්ථාවේ වුණත් නිවන. Do you understand? That essence. මේක දිව්‍ය ලෝකයක් ඒ වගේ තැනක් නෙමෙයි. An essence of නිවීම. I am also calming like a still forest pool, with no sort of chalanayak නැතුව, without any sort of rendition of sort of vibration or sequence or nothing. And in the same way, all other beings, අපි විතරක් නිවන් දැකලා නෙමෙයි. අපි ගාව ඉන්නවනම්. All other beings in the same manner. Hence, we do not arouse hate in other people's minds. We do not arouse lust in the people's mind. We do not arouse delusion in the minds of people. In the minds of people. We understanding over the nature which is, with that understanding, we do what at that moment is suitable. Suitable. Is suitable. Is suitable. It's like this question, isn't it, in Sri Lanka? You have this, you have these dilemmas. Dilemmas like this now. Sri Lanka, I don't know why I've come to know that Sri Lanka is also called the land of monkeys for some reason. And I don't know where that came from. Because for me, only, places like Dambulla or, Anuradhapura full of monkeys. But anyways, the land of monkeys. Now, in this land, Sri Lanka, we have so much of wildlife, isn't it? And with this wildlife, sometimes, elephants or monkeys, again. Now, let us say, now you had to keep the monkeys away. To keep the monkeys away. To keep the monkeys away, or the elephants away, or the bulls away, what do you do? Sometimes you do things that are less of two evils. Some are Ratinna Dana. Ratinna Dana. Now, for fireworks, the animals get scared and all of that, and they sort of go away, they fled. But that can be seen as unkind, isn't it? Unkind. However, would you prefer if there was a barbed wire? Do you understand? Do you prefer if there was a barbed wire? Would that be better than...
No.
Exactly. You see? Now, in terms of what could have been done, right? In terms of what could have been done, this in the first instance would have seemed quite aggressive. Quite aggressive. However, on the other side, in comparison to something else, which is the alternative, this is maybe harmless.
But people are invading their territory. That's a bad thing.
Regardless, people can be doing that, but that happens in it. That is happening. Yeah,
Yes.
it is happening. For example, if someone goes and builds a housing scheme in the middle of and they sell the houses, the people who move there have nothing to do with it. Opportunities arose, people went and bought it. Yeah, things happen, development happens, but through that development, we can't blame because at the end, we are the ones who have to pay for our sankharas. Hence,
Yes.
we have to take responsibility. In taking responsibility, එතන blame එකක් නෙමෙයි යන්නේ මෙන්න මෙතන යම්කිසි සත්වෙක්ට හානියක් නොකර මං කොහොමද මේක ඉස්සරහට කරගෙන යන්නේ? Now you can write an exam, you can sit for an exam saying I'm going to beat all of these people, or you can sit for the exam saying I'm going to do my best.
Yeah.
The thing is what drives you. Now for some people, by condition, some people thrive on this. A lot of your children might be like that as well. Thriving on competition.
Yes, that's
Thriving on
Yes.
competition. That is what gives them the driving force.
But there's no happiness in that, no, Bhante?
There is no thing, for example, in monastic systems, the Nayaka Hamdru would place two sahodarayas, that is two brother monks, at two, so let us say Sinhala Dhamma School, one of the sahodarayas, which is one of his students, pupils, and the other one in the English Dhamma School. Now, see, even in this environment, they will do very well for the Dhamma school. But because they are outdoing one another. Do you understand? We now see with what happened with Chinese AI and with America, the Chinese AI came and the American AI is, beating the American AI systems with so much less budget. Wake up call. But now, because of that, it's going to make AI development so much more faster. It's going to invigorate AI development because everyone is going now realizes that it can be done on a lower cost. Hence, everyone's going to try it. Everyone's going to become super efficient, which is good for development, right? Which is great for development. Healthy competition and healthy rival is very good. Even in parliament system, isn't it? A government is as good as how efficient or how sort of the opposition party is. That is one of the successes to a government as well, the opposition. But in a Dhammic sense, now, but through condition, they are in those positions. The children, all of that. Through condition, little bits, they too will come to realize that this is burning them out. But that is a condition, remember. They have to go through it up until they themselves realize that this is simply an unending battle. Unending හැමෝම දෙක competition එක. හැමෝම දෙක competition. Unending. Even if they go to socialize, right? In between, pub after, whatnot. Even at that, still the mind is working. That is how they get far. Because their brains don't stop working. They don't stop working for this success. But success in what? And what are we giving up for that success? Some might deem it worth it for that level of comfort. But this is an entirely personal journey. And it can only be treaded by one with that respective samadhi that is present in their hearts. But finding that compassion, if you are to then look at these people and look at the statistics behind them, They might be so successful, but everyone is taking at least 2 pills a day to maintain composure. To maintain composure, to maintain some sort of mental health. Stress. How many would come to the doctor just for stress? Why? That internal battle. That is not a battle of true success that brings true success, because you never feel like it's enough. You never feel as if it is enough.
Yes.
Hence, you have all gone through that. Some are still going through it, like Manisha and Krishanti and some of the younger ones that we have. The rest have all gone through it already. Hence, remember that lesson that you've learned from that life of 40, 50 odd years in your past, that those lessons apply to this moment as well. Because don't turn this moment with the meditation into that same thing where it's repeating. මේ වෙලාවෙම කුණු හොදන එකක් අපි we are people who are washing dirt. Like
Yes.
Dobies. All we are doing is washing dirt off dirty, cleaning dirty linen. That is what we are doing, everyone. We are cleaning dirty linen. In our minds, we see the dirt, we rub it and we clean it, we shave it off, and come to a pristine cloth. And then one to realize how through that we come to realize even this cloth that we might in the end pristine, even this cloth we realize has to be put down. නේ මොකද අතේ රෙද්ද ඒ රෙදි කැල අතේ තියෙන ඒ රෙදි කැල තව ජරා වෙනවා. As long as you try to hold this, continue it, for it to proliferate, rebirth to rebirth, අතේ you have the sweat in your hands. It'll get dirty again. So you learn to keep it down. That keeping down is the goal. I'm going to leave you all with that for today, everyone. And I will see you tomorrow for our Abhidhamma class. It is definitely going to happen, right? So we are having our Abhidhamma class.
Dhammasangani class, birthday.
Sorry,
It's Monday. It's the Dhammasangani class.
Dhammasangani class tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yes, at 7 o'clock. Thank you, everyone, and wishing you a wonderful rest of the weekend. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
So,